We're live. All right. Good morning. This is April 25th, 2024. And we're taking up H173, an act relating to coercive control. And we have a small amendment to the House draft version. Michelle's going to walk us through.
Good morning. Yes, we're taking up H173 as passed by the House, an act relating to prohibiting manipulating a child for the purpose of sexual conduct. And you just have a small amendment that you'll see in front of you. And so these amendments are just to section 1 on the purpose section. And it strikes subsections A and C in the House passed version, and then makes a small amendment to, and then B would become A and D would become B. And then on subsection B, you're adding, after the word community, you're adding with intent. So the language would read in the new subsection A, behavior commonly referred to as grooming is a tactic which someone methodically builds a trusting relationship with a child or young adult, the child's or young adult's family, and the child's or young adult's community with intent to manipulate, coerce, or force the child or young adult to engage in sexual activities.
Any comment from anyone who's involved in the bill would like to make? Committee, any thoughts?
I think the change is fine.
What I'm trying to do with this change is focus on the grooming activity, and I understand if you wanted current A and C, they should be in findings, not purpose. So that would be another choice. If you think it's insulting to take those two out, or somebody would get upset, you can put them in as findings. Because they really are findings, they are not purpose of the bill.
Yeah, that would be my preference, only not because I think it's insulting, but because we use the term manipulating through the bill, so I do think it's important to explain what we mean. But I'd be more than happy to have that be a finding section instead of a purpose section.
I do find the language in C unusual in terms of I mean, usually in findings we're talking factually about statistics, etc. And here, language like some persons have co-opted and weaponized the term grooming is just a sort of general accusation, and one I happen to agree with, but I don't know that I would want it in, in the language of the actual bill.
So it's possible to put a finding, make A the finding.
So you mean retaining A and C, but creating a new
Well, I think taking
finding?
C out.
Taking C out totally.
You know how we do in findings?
So you would want another section, and it would just be subsection A, and then you would have what essentially
According to the Crimes Against Children Research Center, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And then you would have the purpose would be what we just changed. And you would take C out completely.
Okay.
Is that acceptable?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, I don't know how impactful the, differentiating between a purpose versus a findings section is in the ultimate bill when it gets implemented, but I mean,
Well, for me, normally findings are facts, as Senator Brewer mentioned.
oh.
So you do findings, these are facts.
And because A is more
And
data oriented.
A is very fact oriented. C C, on the other hand, is not necessarily factual. There's some of it, but, and then B is a intent of the bill.
Michelle, just a question about page 3, the knowingly, down on line 19. So of course, we've talked a lot about the knowingly standard, but I'm just wondering, in this case, how would we prove that they were knowingly soliciting, luring, or manipulating? Would it be, emails, texts kind of thing, or? Because it seems like it pivots on that piece that you have to show that they were knowingly grooming or soliciting.
I'm looking at the jury instructions and information for luring, because the knowingly standard is currently what's used in the luring statute, and that
Yeah.
language is directly from the luring statute. So I'd have to kind of look and see
Okay.
what they're doing on that,
I mean,
the particular cases or whatever, but that language exactly has been in
okay.
the luring statute for a considerable amount of time.
So maybe it's
and
just
has
a
been,
question for law.
yeah, but we have for probably the state's attorneys to
Yeah.
say, this is how we bring forth the evidence, or this is how we approve that knowingly aspect.
Yeah. Because that's what makes it insidious, is that it's all overtly decent behavior. Like, it's just that it has a covert purpose, and so you really have to know that intent to differentiate between somebody who's being nice and giving a gift and somebody who's not being nice and giving a gift.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would assume it's a rather challenging standard to apply under current law.
Although, I'm always amazed at how much people are willing to put in texts and emails, not only to the person involved, but to other people about that person. Sometimes these people are working in small groups on the internet. So.
All right. So with those changes, we can find some time to produce and a little later on vote on the bill.
This morning?
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless you're busy elsewhere.
Just here and upstairs.
Yeah, well,
but
we
I-
have
but I-
Ben from
And all over
9:30.
the building.
We have Ben, I was thinking somewhere around 11:45.
Yes, that should be fine.
And then there may be changes to 6:55, but I doubt it. So why don't we take up page 655 and act relating to stuff in the ceiling.
You want to hold on to 173 for later, or I can take it and give it back to you?
No, let's leave them. I think we're smart enough to be able to not lose our files. Anybody that loses their files,
A bad committee member.
bad committee, will be reported to the pro tem
Especially if they manage to lose it while sitting here.
while sitting here.
I can do it, just for the record.
I probably could too. I say that and then watch me be the one to lose it.
So want me to start?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so you have before you draft 1.1 amendment to 655. So this is your ceiling bill, and what you have here are two essentially studies. The first one being that the Joint Legislative Justice Oversight Committee is to examine the laws of other states regarding the sealing of criminal history records, including the length of time that must toll before a record is eligible for sealing, and the individuals and entities that have access to sealed records, the purpose of their access, and the length of time that they have access to those records after they're sealed. And then setting a November 15th deadline for the committee to make any recommendations that they have to the General Assembly around a proposal for those particular issues.
Well, pretty simple.
And then on page 2 is section 2. This was in the version that came over to you from the House on petition assailing, and that is on or before December 2nd. Chief Superior Judge working with the AG, the Defender General, and the state's attorneys and DOC are to submit to the House and Senate Committees on Judiciary recommendation to establish a mechanism for petitionless sealing and any resources required for that. So that's kind of more the logistics and how the different agencies work with the court and BCIC and such to kind of accomplish that if you decide to come back at a later session and move forward with some type of petition.
I would like them to follow a similar process that the Joint Justice Oversight Committee is following. That is to look at other states and how they deal with, include looking at other states and how they deal with petitioners deal.
Okay.
If so, if they do, if there are any that does. Because I think one of the problems that we continually confront here is with this issue is we're trying to invent a wheel based upon a lot of conversation with a lot of different interests from the defense side, from the prosecution, et cetera, and other states are successfully using sealing in huge numbers, like Pennsylvania. And we should be able to learn from what they're doing and not try to invent something on our own that gets bogged down in this little detail or this little detail. You know, I mean, I understand that. If we just want to say after 10 years, you can say you don't have a record. We can do that. But that's about all the bill does when you look at it. Because the record is still there for a lot of purposes. When I read the House bill, you know, so you basically are allowed, if you get your record sealed, basically allowed to say I don't have a record. That's about it. It doesn't do anything for you to have sealed that record from exposure from various agencies, et cetera. So I think they should do the same process. Is the rest of the committee okay with that? Having the group consult with other states and how they deal with petitions?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think, we have NCSL and CSG that can help them to sort of navigate that on the whole.
But you're saying that you would have them look at other states with regard to the purpose of what they're looking at around kind of the petitionless sealing, but not.
Not the sealing. That's the job, that's articulated in Justice Oversight study.
Right, but
this study to look at other states and how they do petitionless.
Right.
Petition. It's a hard word for me to say for some reason. Petitionless.
Yes, I know what you mean. So, okay, no problems. And then also, since it's 2 studies, I just made the effective date upon passage. No reason for have to wait till July 1st. And then I wanted to just address the issue with you about whether or not perhaps the bill should be retitled, because the bill is currently called an act relating to qualifying offenses for sealing criminal history records and access to sealed criminal records. I mean, I think it fits, but you could also just kind of amend it up more because you haven't made those decisions in here. So do you want me just to do a little retitle?
Makes sense to me.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll work on those 2 amendments and then I'll come back at the end of your committee time.
We can do all at 11:45. I don't think it's going to be.
Okay, sure.
That dramatic. So, there we go. Now, magically lost my agenda. Oh, there it is.
Bad committee member.
Bad committee, member, bad chair. That's his agenda. All right, our next item is with Ben, which is an act relating to expansion of approaches for restorative justice.
Other
So,
study?
this is not
I
a
was
study.
joking, just joking.
Could be.
No.
Ben, you wanna hand out another bill that we can lose?
Now you got 3 bills to keep track of, you sure you guys can handle it?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm sending a, message to Ben now to see if he can join early.
Just,
You?
I stepped on.
stepped on your glasses?
Yes, I did.
Boy, thank you.
That's not a good sign.
Okay, so we had Rachel Jolly who wanted to speak. She's not on the agenda, but we're gonna give her a few minutes.
And we have a new draft from Ben, 1.2.
So we'll have Ben go through the draft and then hear it from Rachel.
Read Rachel's email, and I think the new draft addresses many of the things she suggests.
Ben's testifying in H day, so he won't be available at 9:30.
All right, well, is Rachel there?
I just sent an email to her asking if she could join early, but nothing yet.
Next week is the final week of the committee meetings on a regular basis. So we're gonna try to get all the bills in and get them all done. At the same time, follow any damage the house does to our bills. This is a bill that's extremely important to the house, so I'm trying to get something through, even though I know many of the committee members aren't all that excited about it and have concerns about the impact of it. I think it's fair. We did hear from the state's attorneys who are not enamored with it.
Although they came back the next day and seemed a little less upset about it.
Maybe not enamored, but.
Maybe not enamored, but no longer did they seem to be oppositional. As it turns out, every state attorney is developing a policy already.
Right, and so as long as they can use their
They
own
were-
policy.
Yes. And they can.
So to update you, anything else that you can do?
Take a break.
You can take a break for
Could
5
take a
minutes.
break for 5 minutes. If you guys wanna discuss any amendments to the miscellaneous bill that you might wanna think about, just so I can get an idea of who I might need to vote for next week.
Well, which miscellaneous corrections?
Oh, that's right, we do have 2 miscellaneous bills, corrections and judiciary. I was thinking judiciary, but,
Well, the miscellaneous judiciary, I had a brief conversation with a member of the administration. We've worked for years to establish a forensic facility in Vermont. And now the House Human Services Committee is throwing up a major roadblock. And that's despite, I was on the Act 27 working group with Senator Lyons this summer. We had probably 20 meetings. And they're up between administration, providers, et cetera, 14-3, supporting forensic facility. And despite the Senate passing it, the House Judiciary and House Healthcare passing it, House Human Services is trying to create its own little roadblock. It does me, you know, people should be treated with respect, no matter what crime they committed or whatever, and in an appropriate place. And the testimony we've heard over the years, particularly about those who are seriously mentally ill as well as those with developmental disabilities, is they're not appropriate for correctional settings. They're often the most difficult people who are staying the longest on detention because it's so hard to get through the court process and get to stuff. So I don't know what, if we do something, we may do it in miscellaneous bill, because I think it's time we faced it, that we're not doing anybody any favors by holding them in the wrong institution where their needs aren't met. I mean, I realize many of them are murderers, but they're still human beings. And I don't know what it is that they don't recognize over there in that committee, but it's unfortunate. So,
What's the nature of the roadblock?
they don't wanna do a forensic facility.
But I mean, they're just not gonna move the bill?
Yeah, I think that's what.
They have possession?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I heard from the administration.
This might be a stupid question, but my understanding is we passed the forensic facilities bill last year.
Yeah.
Did it, so the governor, it's just been stuck in the House is what's happened, or?
Yeah, it was turned into a study. The Act 27 working group to determine whether or not there should be those with development. The Act 27 working group was to study whether those with developmental disabilities should be allowed to be in the forensic facility. And then the House, the governor, we thought the governor had planned to put the forensic facility at Middlesex. It appears that he didn't put that in the budget, so when the Senate did the budget, we put money in for looking at a forensic facility elsewhere as part of the overall process. So it's a little more nuanced, but the basic issue is whether those with developmental disabilities should be in a forensic facility. That's at least as it was explained this morning by the agency of services.
Still on.
Still not on?
Yeah, the city was in, I did a live stream. Most plays. He's still in.
No. He's still in the house?
Yep, and it looks like they're wrapping up there, so he'll be here.
I'm assuming.
Okay, yep. Why don't we take 5 minutes?